In this video, we'll understand what is correlation. The word correlation is used in everyday life to denote some form of association. We might say that we have noticed a correlation between the foggy days and the attacks of busyness. However, in statistical terms, we use correlation to denote association between any two variables. What is correlation coefficient? A statistical formula that measures the strength between the variable and relationships. It's also known as Pearson correlation coefficient. What is Pearson correlation coefficient? It tells about how strong the relationship between any two variables. In order to determine how strong is the relationship between two variables, we make use of coefficient value. Coefficient value can range from -1 to 1. If the value is in the negative range, this means that two variables are inversely related, which means increase in the value of one variable will result in decrease in the value of another variable and vice versa. If the value is in the positive range, this means that two variables are directly proportional, means increase in the value of one will also result in increase in the value of other. If the coefficient value is 0, that means two variables are not related to each other. Let's take an example. Is there a relationship between person's salary and age? Pearson correlation, we can measure the linear relationship between two variables. So let's dive in. In this example, we are looking at the relationship between person's age and salary. Pearson correlation, we can measure the linear relationship between two variables. We can use this trend line, which is represented by black dotted line with positive slope, to represent that data. If we have a person with this age, then this will be the salary as predicted by the trend line, that is black dotted line. Alternatively, if someone is drawing this much salary, then that person age predicted by the trend line, that is black dotted line, would be around this range. In both these cases, we made guesses based on the trend we observe in the data. If the data were closer to the trend line, that is black dotted line, then we might guess the salary for a person of certain age fall under a small range. In other words, we can say that the relationship between the salary and age of a particular person is relatively strong. Let's assume if the data were further from the trend line, that is black dotted line. In this case, we could say that the values for age tell less about the salary of a person and vice versa. Alternatively, we could say that relationship is relatively weak. These data with a relatively weak relationship have a small correlation value. These data with a relatively strong relationship have relatively large correlation values. If correlation value is 1, that means that a straight line with positive slope goes to the center of each data points. And correlation value equal to 0, that means that the value on the x-axis does not tell anything about the value on the y-axis. Here are the few takeaways and nano concepts learned in this particular video. Correlation quantifies the strength of the relationship. The correlation coefficient is measured on a scale that varies from +1 through 0 to -1. When one variable increases as the other increases, the correlation is positive. When the value of one variable decreases as the value of the other variable increases, it's negatively correlated. Complete absence of relationship is represented by correlation value of 0. Please also watch the part 2 of this video, which talks about the importance of R square and how the correlation and R squares are related and utilized in the machine learning.